I first noticed Vlad when I heard he came to one of our training sessions and beat our coach, who, just so you know, is a world champion in Buhurt.
This is the kind of strike I use. If the fight gets in close, I switch to using the shaft of the weapon.
And I said, that's an interesting story. Let's take a closer look.
My name is Vlad. I'm originally from the city of Kryvyi Rih. I've only been in Kyiv for about 2 years. I've been here since I started my treatment and rehabilitation. My military service began back in 2017. I served on the Kherson, Donetsk and Kharkiv fronts. I was medically discharged after suffering multiple concussions during an artillery strike. After that, a lot of neurological issues started showing up. Hearing loss, worsening eyesight and uncontrollable tremors. The discharge was mainly because of PTSD. It causes certain changes in the brain that made it very difficult to function or even just to live normally. In reality, you become unable to work, unable to live a normal life. You sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours a day and you feel awful all the time. The closest comparison: imagine going to a mother's funeral with the worst hangover of your life, and it feels like that every day. I take medications prescribed by my doctors. When needed, I undergo inpatient treatment, and I work with specialists and psychologists. One of the recommendations in my rehabilitation plan was to take up historical combat training. I put on soft armor and tried fighting with a sword. It felt amazing and very unusual. Take your swords. Make a figure 8 using only the wrist. Spread out a little so you don't accidentally hit each other in the head.
My name is Olena. I run a veteran project called Buhurt Sich. The idea is to bring together the experience of medieval combat and living history to help veterans dealing with stress-related disorders.
Does it hurt?
It's not working.
That's okay. We need to work with non-dominant hand. First, it helps build new neural connections. Second, it helps improve the overall tone of the weaker limb.
Actually, we were inspired by an American example. In the US, there is an organization called Steel Soldier Documentary. They're making a film about people who overcame PTSD through medieval combat.
Safety rules. No stabbing. No stabbing. Try not to strike the back of the head, behind the knee or the foot. Deal? Ready? Fight! Breathe, breathe! Good! Keep working, keep working!
Vlad watched every single video our coach had posted while he was sitting in a hospital ward. He studied all his techniques, then he came to training and beat the coach, a world champion in medieval combat, by the way, using the coach's own moves.
At first it was pure improvisation, but I could feel that I liked it. I started training more intensively and began to notice positive changes. I realized I really enjoyed it and that I was feeling better.
One of the main symptoms of PTSD is hormonal imbalance. People with PTSD often can't sleep. Sometimes they don't eat for days because their bodies are under constant tension. There is too much adrenaline. Adrenaline is the hormone that tells you move, act, do something. And when your body is in that constant action mode, it simply can't digest food, sleep or recover. When you step into the arena, you naturally release that adrenaline.
When you push yourself physically to the point of exhaustion, it becomes much easier to fall asleep and your overall state becomes calmer.
One of the biggest problems with PTSD is that you may never know someone has it until something triggers them.
There are a lot of triggers. A loud sound, and your brain immediately associates it with danger. That response switches on automatically. A couple of days ago in the evening, a friend and I were standing outside talking when someone nearby was taking photos with a flash. Both of us almost dropped to the ground because our brains associated it with an explosion.
Very often, it can be the smell of diesel. Just a regular diesel car passing by can become a powerful trigger, because at the moment of trauma, there was a specific smell or sound or something similar.
Okay, this is basically our garage, where we keep our armor. Let me show you the weapons we use. These are real weapons, completely identical to the ones used back then. The only difference is that we don't sharpen them. The edges are blunt. Otherwise, they're fully functional. They're exactly what we fight with. In the Middle Ages, shields weren't just for protection. They were also used as active weapons. In fact, a strike with the edge of a shield can sometimes hit harder than a blow from a weapon. When it lands, you really feel it. Every suit of armor is made specifically for the person who wears it. Everything is handcrafted. You have to take individual measurements and feel and adjust every part. It's not an easy process. The feeling you get the first time you put on armor is really hard to describe. It's like a childhood dream coming true. When you put it on, you almost lose your sense of reality, where you are, what time you're in. Because when you're looking through the visor of the helmet, standing in a fight against another fully armed person, it feels like you're inside a movie. It's really awesome. During the fight itself, there's usually some kind of a rock music playing in my head. You get hit, sure, but it doesn't hurt, it's safe. And I'm doing this with people I trust, people I already have a connection with.
When a person joins a community they trust, an environment they feel safe in, they can experience those triggers in a controlled way. A loud sound, a flash, a sudden heat. They go through it and the brain remembers, I can handle this. And the next time they encounter that trigger on the street or somewhere else, the brain doesn't react in such a chaotic way.
Armor requires special care. After every fight, you have to wipe it down, oil the joints and the fastening points. It takes a lot of time, but it's necessary. And most people actually enjoy the process, because you're doing it for yourself, for your comfort next time you fight.
Ukraine was the first country in the world to officially recognize medieval combat as a sport. And the history of our country is full of victories. Ukraine was well known and had close ties with Europe. But much of that history was stolen from us by the Soviet Union. Returning to our history, to our roots, often helps wounded veterans understand what they suffered for. Because this is the centuries-long struggle of our people.
Right now we're at the Golden Gate. This used to be the entrance to the old city 1,000 years ago. It's actually pretty powerful to realize that this place was once the first line of defense that protected our city. That's a strong feeling. For me, the idea of knighthood is not just about fighting in armor. It's something deeper. It's about inner values and principles. A kind of backbone you have to live by. It's not only about brutal battles, it's also about brotherhood and personal growth.
Brotherhood and community also work on a biochemical level. It's about hormones again, dopamine and oxytocin, the things that help people recover. And it's a community that stands beside you and supports you.
Miss Olena, the head of the Buhurt Sich project, invited me to work as a coach for the team to pass on the experience I gained to other people. If you forget to breathe, I'm telling you again, it's fine to make noise here. It's not cringe. Even if it's a growl or a shout, it doesn't matter. You'll definitely breathe out.
What we're doing is adapting medieval combat. We introduce soft armor for those who can't fight in heavy metal armor. We adapt the rules. For example, if a fighter has an arm amputation, the opponent puts their shield aside and fights with one arm as well. If someone uses a wheelchair, the other fighter knows what to do. They'll grab a chair, sit down across from them, and fight sitting. And we're actually teaching different Ukrainian organizations and clubs that this kind of interaction is both normal and important, because it allows his environment to become therapeutic, a place that can truly help people who have been wounded by war.
Sometimes it might make sense to just rush in and cover one of your teammates. It's really rewarding to see someone who deserves it return to a full life, and they catch this friendly, energetic wave. You can literally see people start to bloom again. Stop! All right, let's rest. Take your helmets off while we're resting. A lot of times you come to training feeling bad or just not in the mood. Maybe you're not feeling okay at all. But the guys somehow start this wave of energy and you begin to recharge from them. Then you get back into the process, start coming up with interesting drills, making the training more dynamic. There is this exchange of energy and it really powers both sides. A lot of times I leave practice thinking, damn, honestly, they probably helped me more than I helped them. Alright, make some not too smart faces, just your usual ones. You always have to keep developing. You have to keep moving forward, trying new things. You start with smaller local competitions and events. Step by step the level of competition grows, the level of opponents, the scale of the events. Honestly, one day I'd really like to put on the national team uniform, go out there with the team and represent my country.